Hi, welcome to OpenLink Insights. My name is Doug Wendler. I'm Executive Vice President of America's Energy for OpenLink. Today we're going to talk about U.S. utilities, in particular renewables. I'm joined today by Philippe Barjon, Senior Product Manager for North American Power Markets for OpenLink. Hi, Philippe.
Hi, Doug.
So, Philippe, the weak economy and deregulation in recent years have net incomes in utilities down by over 30%. In this tough environment, what trends are you seeing?
Yes, that's a good question, Doug. Indeed, utilities are facing a tough environment. And beside the issue with the revenue, the other major trends that utilities are facing are in the area of meeting new standard by FERC and NERC, and also meeting the investment for the smart grid, which also comes with all the investment in renewable in order for them to meet their renewable portfolio standards. Also, they are facing issues with environmental regulation. For instance, new clean air regulation, regulation for nuclear waste, regulation for clean water. And also, they are facing tough competition from retailers and third-party energy services companies. On top of that, going back to the smart grid, they are also seeing an increased use of smaller distributed generation resources as opposed to big centralized power plant. So yes, we're facing a very tough environment.
So you're saying there's an increased reliance on renewables, which sounds like a great story, but with renewables you get a lot more unpredictability. So how is that unpredictability affecting customers?
Well, effectively, as you said it, renewable are a variable source of power. So this means that it's much more difficult for utilities to keep the power stable when they have to serve their customer. So the operation and the planning of the network is becoming more and more complex as we increase the use of renewable in the market. And on top of that, if we take into account the fact that natural gas is also becoming the major fuel now, replacing coal as the baseload generation, now there is an issue with pipeline capacity and storage facilities because we are not ready yet for this increased use of natural gas to become the dominant fuel for baseload power.
So you mentioned smart grid earlier. What role is smart grid playing in all of this?
Well, smart grid has been a game changer for US utilities and also for utilities globally. And for instance, if we look at investment only, some estimate put the investment by US utilities only around $500 billion over the next 20 years. Of course, the same estimate foresee a saving of around $1.5 trillion over the next 20 years if everything is really implemented. But what does that mean for US utilities customer? With the smart grid, utilities have a more direct connection with their customer. So for instance, they can control your equipment at home, they can control equipment in your business so that they can manage the load. But also the smart grid gives them a much better control and knowledge of what's going on the network, in the distribution system, the network system, and so forth. So this means that they will be able to implement the renewable energy that they need and also the smaller distributed energy resource because they need to be able to better control all those equipment. And this will be feasible only with the smart grid.
So moving on to the US power markets, what changes do you see on the horizon for power trading and scheduling?
That's a good question, Doug. So if we are increasing the use of renewable in the power market, so this means that we are relying on a source of power which is unpredictable and variable. So the problem is that trader and scheduler will need to schedule more frequently, to rebalance their schedule more frequently, and also they will need to trade more frequently because we are dealing with a variable source of power. So in this regard, there will be a need to rebalance your schedule, to create tags, and to manage your capacity, to transmit those schedules, to go to Oasis and manage your capacity. So this is the major impact of renewable for US power markets. The fact that now trading must be much more integrated with your tagging, your scheduling in a much shorter time scale, and also the trading granularity itself and the scheduling is going to be done in a much shorter time scale. And as a matter of fact, FERC just put together an order that is going to take effect this month, asking all transmission providers to allow the customer to schedule at 15-minute granularity instead of the 60-minute standard that we're used to.
So on the technology front, what requirements are you seeing there?
Well, on the technology front, we are of course seeing requirement for better optimization and forecasting tool. Again, this is related to renewable because the more you're dealing with unpredictable and variable source of power, You need to have now optimization tools which are actually capable of doing stochastic optimization to take into account and to model this variability. And also you need better forecasting tools, forecasting for wind power, forecasting for solar, so that you can integrate them into your planning. And other trend that we're seeing is the need for to have one system where you can have all your trading, scheduling, tagging, and OSIS in one system. Another trend is the need to have a flexible architecture, IT architecture, because of all the regulatory and market change. You need to have a system where your customer can quickly model those changes, implement them, and for instance, create all the reporting for the regulatory agencies.
Mm-hmm. And in your role at OpenLink, how is OpenLink addressing those needs?
Well, at OpenLink, we have been very busy implementing e-tagging OSIS capability fully integrated to our Endos application, so that our customer will have in one application all the trading, risk management, scheduling, tagging, and OSIS function in one system. Also, we are integrating even more tighter our forecasting and optimization solution into Endo. So again, this is the fact that we want our customer to deal with one system, one database where all the data will reside. So this will help, for instance, in meeting all the reporting requirements, because you're dealing with one database with one set of data. And also we are implementing all the regulatory reporting, for instance, for Dodd-Frank, so that our customers are ready. For instance, we're doing all the interfaces to the swap facilities, all the reporting, position limit reporting, and so forth.
Well, great. Thanks, Philippe, for joining us today. And for those of you watching, if you'd like more information on the topic of U.S. utilities and renewables, please check out our website at www.openlink.com. Thanks for watching OpenLink Insights.